What's up, everybody? Welcome to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm Katie Mox. Today, we're talking MLB playoffs, plus picks for the full Sunday slate of NFL with your favorite money line, against the spread, totals, and props. So let's welcome in our guest today, Frank Ammirante. No, I said it wrong. Ammirante.
No, you got it. You got it. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I gotta give a little Italian to it.
Yeah,
How you
yeah,
doing
yeah.
today?
You know what? I'm not doing too well because my Blue Jays are out of the MLB playoffs. You know,
Oh.
one of the worst managerial decisions you'll ever
Mm.
see in a baseball game, pulling Jose Barrios out when he was unhittable in the third inning. The reliever comes in, Kikuchi, who's actually just a starting pitcher, and gives up 2 runs. Those are only 2 runs of the game. They lose 2-0. Brutal, but it's Thursday night football. My Commanders are playing, and I'm excited to get into Week 5 NFL.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because you are in Canada, you're Canadian. Are you in Toronto? Is that why we are a Blue Jays fan, or is that just because they're the only Canadian team?
Yeah, I grew up in north of Toronto in a suburb called Vaughan. I was there for like 30 years. Now I moved 2 hours away in London, Ontario, but still a huge Jays fan. Big follow. They got a big fan base there, of course, across Canada, but especially in the Toronto area.
Yeah.
We're very disappointed with the results. Like they're a much better team on paper
Yeah.
than what they've shown. So not a good thing. Not a good thing.
Well, and sometimes you're right. That comes down to the manager. So how did you become a Commanders fan? I'm always interested to see, connect the dots here.
Yeah, good question. So when I was in high school, all my friends are into NFL, and they all have different teams, not just the Bills. There, I know a lot of people like, oh, it's Toronto's close to Buffalo, mostly Bills fan.
Yeah.
It's sort of a mix. So I wanted to pick a different team, and I liked Clinton Portis. It was
Yeah.
when they brought Joe Gibbs back. I'm like, let's do it. And then I would get a kick out of it, like, why do you like Washington? Kind of thing, because it's random, of course, being in
Yeah.
Toronto, but.
Well, it's
Yeah.
more fun to be a Commanders fan and a Washington fan this year than I think it's been in previous years, because we finally got a new ownership in there. All right,
Absolutely.
before we get into the NFL slate, I do have to pick your brain about MLB, because Frank, I got to be honest with you. Once the football season starts, I know it's the playoffs, but I have no idea what is going on in Major League Baseball. So definitely need to get your picks here for the playoffs, because I'm going to blindly tail them. No pressure. But how does betting on baseball compare to other sports? Like, what kind of angles or props do you look for specifically in the playoffs?
Well, with baseball, you got to be careful with favorites, because just because they dominated in the regular season doesn't mean they're going to win even in the first round in the playoffs. It's not like NFL where, the Chiefs' first home playoff game, they're likely not going to lose. So you could probably parlay that money line.
Yeah.
But with baseball, like the Dodgers or Braves, just because they dominated during the season, you don't want to be going too heavy on them money line just to win a game. It's going to be like minus 200, minus 180. You're risking a lot of juice. Anything could happen in baseball. So you got to tread lightly in that regard. And as for props, I really like taking pitcher walks, because it's almost always at 1.5. And if you take a pitcher who's got excellent control, they often are only walking 0 or 1. And in the playoffs, even better, because managers tend to have a quick hook. Like I mentioned with Jose Barrios, they took him out after 3 innings. They might take out your pitcher after 5 or 6 rather than 6 or 7.
Right.
And obviously that helps with the under. So you target a pitcher with good control under 1.5 walks, like a Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola are good examples. And then that's my favorite prop to target.
That's so interesting. And it does make a lot of sense, because like you said, pitchers are on a much tighter leash in the playoffs. That's why if I am taking a pitcher prop, now again, I haven't been paying attention this year, but historically, I like looking at those first 3 inning props, because sometimes pitchers don't last as long as they normally would. So that's interesting. Look, everyone swept through their wild card rounds yesterday. I know, tough subject for you. So you got the Rangers and the Twins advancing in the ALDS, plus the Phillies and the Diamondbacks advancing in the National League. Let's talk about each of those divisional series. If we look at first, like the Astros minus 170 versus the Twins, you can get them, frisky little Twins, at plus 143. It's the first playoff win for the Twins since 2002, the beginning of the millennium. Would you bet on their hot streak to continue against the Astros, or are the Astros just going to be the Astros like they are every year in the playoffs?
I would bet on. I think the Twins are live dogs in the series, because they're better than their record. So their best hitter right now, rookie shorts. Oh no, he plays third base. Rookie. He started as a shortstop. That's why I said it.
Yeah.
His name's Royce Lewis, and he's just absolutely crushing the ball. He only played around 50 games during the season, and he played at an MVP level. He had like 15 home runs in that stretch. So when you see their record, 87 and 73, it doesn't really reflect how good they are at this moment because he only played 50 games.
Yeah.
And their starting pitching is great with, Sonny Gray and Pablo Lopez, and their bullpen is really good. They have a few converted starters in their bullpen, and they're throwing harder there. Like Louis Varlin is his name. He's hitting 100 in the bullpen. Really gives them a deep group of relievers, and they're just underrated. They're live dogs here. Not to say like they're for sure going to win. I just think, especially because you probably will get them, plus 150 to one, like even short, longer in each game. It's a live pick. I like the way the mix of that group looks right now.
All right, so the value definitely on Minnesota in this matchup, at least for the entire series. Another live dog here, the Baltimore Orioles, not them, they're minus 120, but the Rangers are at even money. Baltimore had the second best regular season record this year with 101 wins. But they've got very little playoff experience, right? So who do you like in this series? Would the Rangers also be a live dog here at even money? Or are we going with the O's?
Yeah, you know what? I would love the O's, but their Felix Bautista, their closer, is out, and he was absolutely dominant all season, and that's a huge loss in their bullpen. And Texas has a great lineup, especially with rookie Evan Carter joining the mix. He looks like a stud. I'm going to go Texas here just because I really like their bats, and it should be a really close series. I prefer to lean to the dog there in that situation.
Okay, so we're going to both dogs. I like this. I like the ways this is shaping out. Now, I don't know if you're going to take the dog when we look at the National League here, especially the NL West rivalry matchup between the D-backs and the Dodgers. Dodgers minus 210 to take the series. Diamondbacks plus 175. The Dodgers, of course, are going to have the regular season edge here. They beat the D-backs 8-5 throughout the season. How much do you think that impacts the postseason? You said earlier that their wins and stuff in the regular season don't exactly come into the postseason. We did see the Dodgers get, unceremoniously bounced out early last year, and they tend to kind of fall apart in the playoffs. But do you still like them over the Diamondbacks?
I'm still going to go with the Dodgers just because for me, the two best teams in baseball are the Dodgers and Braves. Well, I mean, not only for me, they have the best records, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they got a stacked lineup. And to your point about facing a familiar opponent, I think it helps the favorite there a little bit just because the underdog can't really sneak up on them as much. They don't really have a pitcher that the hitters haven't seen. Like the Dodgers hitters are familiar with these D-backs arms. Arizona, I don't think they have the pitching that's good enough to beat the Dodgers here. Zach Gallen's a stud. Merrill Kelly's pretty good, but aside from that, it's iffy. Brandon Pfaadt is a rookie. He's kind of been inconsistent. I don't think they can beat those Dodger bats with, Mookie Betts and and company. Kershaw's back. I got to go LA in this one.
Got to go LA in that one. Maybe that's one where you look at how many games, LA can win in rather than obviously laying the minus 210 on them. Now, for the other best team in baseball, as you said, the Atlanta Braves, they're also minus 205 favorites to take this series versus the Phillies. The Phillies were kind of frisky last year, surprised a lot of people. It was definitely fun to watch in the playoffs. They're plus 170. Can they upset the Braves? Like you said, Braves, Atlanta, best team in baseball this season. They won the World Series in 2021. Does Philadelphia stand a chance?
The thing with the Phillies is that, number one, this is the team that went to the World Series last year.
Yeah.
Secondly, they seem to be peaking at the right time. Bryce Harper had a good second half. Trey Turner went nuts in the second half. And they have two aces at the top of their rotation, Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, which could help. I mean, Nola's inconsistent, but when he's on, he could be an ace. And I think they could slow down these big Braves bats. And the Braves, outside of Spencer Strider, they have some question marks in the rotation. Max Fried is hurt, but he's going to be ready. But hey, he's coming off injury. We don't know if he's going to be at peak performance. Charlie Morton is out for this series. So I think the Phillies are live dogs as well because they got great bats of their own. I mentioned Harper and Turner. You got Kyle Schwarber, big home run hitter. I think they can win this series, and they're live dogs for sure.
So the only favorite that you're backing is the Dodgers. Everyone else, the value to you is on the dogs.
Yes. Especially with, I think my favorite out of those dogs is the Twins. I like their group. They got a lot of young hitters that make their lineup better. They got a deep set of pitchers.
Yeah.
That's my favorite of those underdogs I've mentioned.
Okay, I love you. I love you. I love that. I love you too, Frank. You're a good friend of mine.
Thank you very
But
much.
if we have
Love
to
you
look at
too.
the World Series matchup, who do you think it is?
Well, coming into the playoffs, I went bold. I said Phillies and Rays, and obviously that went astray with the
Well,
Rays
half of
getting
it's still
swept.
alive. Half of it's still
So I
alive.
got to I got to stick I got to stick with the Phillies because that's, like I said, who
Yeah.
I picked before, and they got, they've been there, they got the veteran experience, they're peaking at the right time. Let's go bold. Let's go Phillies Twins.
Ooh,
Because
Phillies. Wow.
I think the AL, if the Twins could get past the Astros, like I'm picking as an upset, I
Mhm.
think they're going to the World Series because, like I said, Baltimore is weakened by the loss of Felix Bautista, and they have question marks in the starting rotation, and Texas does as well. They have a weak pitching, like Scherzer's hurt
Yeah.
too. I'm going Phillies Twins, going bold here.
I love that. We don't need to see the Astros anymore. We've seen them enough in the World Series, so I would love to see them bounced out of this round. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to talk full NFL slate for Week 5 with my guy Frank Ammirante. Ammirante. I'll get it right one of these times. You're watching Moxie Bets. We'll be right back. Why should you bet with Caesars Sportsbook? 2 words, Caesars Rewards. Every bet brings you closer to the type of benefits only Caesars can offer. Hotel stays, VIP experiences, sports and concert tickets, and more. It's not just an app, it's an empire. All right, welcome back to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Here with my guy Frank of the Game Day, previewing Week 5's NFL slate. Look, we don't have time to go through every single game, Frank, but we're going to go through kind of what our top picks are, starting with the aside. So you can do money line or you can do spread. What's the first one you're zeroing in on for us?
Let's go with the Bills -5.5. This team looks like definitely the best team in the AFC, maybe the best in the NFL right now. Josh Allen's playing
Yeah.
at an MVP level. The defense with Coach McDermott taking over there for Leslie Frazier looks better. I know they lost Tre'Davious White, but I still think it'll be a really strong unit. Whereas Jacksonville, they've been disappointing. Like I know they just beat Atlanta, but their offense doesn't really look like it's clicking. Calvin Ridley after week 1 hasn't done much. It's been a lot of check downs for them. I think they're going to struggle to keep pace with the Bills, and we only have to, we only need Buffalo to win by 6 or more in this one, not really a high bar. And when Buffalo tends to win, they tend to win by,
Big.
double digits.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with it. I don't buy into the fact that the Jags are in London for 2 weeks in a row, so they're the
No.
travel is going to affect Buffalo. These are professional athletes. That doesn't matter to me. Let's go Bills.
I love this. I'm going to tail this one on you too. I love the Bills minus the 5.5. I've bet the Bills in the postseason to, last year they were my Super Bowl pick. The year before, I believe it's 2 years in a row where I'm like, this is the Bills year, and it hasn't been. And I was hesitant preseason because I'm like, you know what, this team has broken my heart so many times, but it does feel like this might actually be the Bills' year. Maybe we'll get a Bills 49ers Super Bowl, which would be delightful and a nice throwback to the 90s. And I agree with you. That first game was so bad for Josh Allen that it just can't get any worse. And I feel like he's determined and focused. And it's good that they got it out of the way the very first game of the season. For some reason, the Jets seem to be their kryptonite, which is very strange. But I agree with you. And I do. And look, I've got some prop bets coming up later. I'm just not believing in this Jags team at all this year from what they've shown us so far. I'm going to do a little bit of a risky bet here for mine. I'm taking the Rams plus 4.5 versus the Eagles, which seems crazy. Everything that I've seen on the internet says to take the Eagles in this spot. Their defense is legit, and their offense is starting to heat up. I would say, the last 2 games we've seen more from Philly. They have a new offensive coordinator. Not having Shane Steichen has been kind of a learning curve, I think, for them. But I'm not completely sold on them through 4 weeks. Now, maybe this is my bias. And people are like, Katie, you don't like the Eagles. That's true, but I also don't like the Rams. Okay. So for me to choose one of these teams, I actually have to feel this way. The Rams have really, really surprised me. Their offense is generating 24.5 points per contest so far this season. Yes, Stafford is banged up with his hip, but McVay says that he is cleared to go. You got Cooper Kupp that's back on the practice squad right now. Everyone's wondering if he's going to be cleared to go for this game. And the Rams are just better against the spread. They're 3-0-1 against the spread through 4 games compared to the Eagles, who are just 2-1-1. Yes, there will be a lot of Eagles fans in LA. Unfortunately, the Rams just don't have a home field advantage ever because they're a newer franchise in Los Angeles, and there's a lot of expats from Philadelphia and New York and Dallas and San Francisco that are all living in Los Angeles. But when I was looking at these splits too, a majority of the tickets are on the Eagles to cover, but most of the money at 69% is on the Rams here. So that tells you where at least the early sharp money is. And I tend to go that direction. I also found a very meaningless coaching stat that is going to back me up here that probably has nothing to do with anything. But Sirianni is 0-6 after scoring 25 points or more in 3 straight games while coaching Philly. And McVay is 13-5 after having lost 2 of their last 3 games while coaching LA. I think this has upset all over it. I just don't have enough guts to do it. So give me the Rams plus 4.5.
Yeah, I like that. They've surprised me more than any team, the Rams. I thought they were going to be one of the worst in the NFL. I underestimated Coach
Yeah.
McVay and Stafford. Stafford's playing at a super high level, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
finding rookie Puka Nacua early and often, and maybe
Yeah.
Kupp will be back for this game. But even if he's not, they're live home dogs here. They've kept it close. The Phillies shown, like you said, they haven't had that dominant start they had last year. They almost lost to my Commanders at home, so
Yes. Oh,
laying
God, I wanted
4
that
on the
so
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Well, first of all, you're a Commanders fan. Riverboat Ron, which our friend Stuckey has now renamed him to Paddleboat Ron. How do you not go for 2? You cannot go into overtime with this Eagles team. Everyone in the world knew that at that point the Commanders were going to lose the game.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like because it's a first-year starter, Sam Howell. That was just such an epic drive. I feel like
You
maybe
got to
he
build
didn't
on
want
it.
it. Maybe he didn't want to have a chance to end it there, and then all that drive goes for naught, and they lose anyway.
Oh, that
And
drive went for naught because they
yeah,
didn't go
true.
for it. I don't know.
I know. I was actually, as a fan, I'm like, you know what? I don't know if maybe I was a bit too conservative in that, but
Yeah.
I get the criticism, but I was
Yeah.
honestly okay with not going for it.
Yeah, I mean, Philly is undefeated. Only the Niners and the Eagles are undefeated so far, but Philly has, should have lost, a couple of those games. Like they haven't been, like you said, as dominant. Now they're starting to heat up. We'll see. I don't know. I'm taking McVay and Stafford. Stafford is a dog. I mean, it's just he's so tough. And I think and here's the thing. They're gonna probably double team Puka Nacua. And we saw that happen against the Bengals. And he was, he still got over his yards, but he wasn't as productive as he could have been. So you got to think the Philly's gonna do the same thing. But I'm hoping that Kupp comes back so that when you have both of them there, you can't double team everybody.
Yeah.
So one of them breaks free. And I just believe in this Rams offense right now to at least keep this one close. All right. What is another spread or money line bet that you like?
All right, another one, and it works perfectly coming on your show. You're a huge 49ers fan. I got to go with the Niners here. I got it at -3.5, but it's at -4. I'll still take it there.
Yeah.
And it's really this simple. To me, they're the best team in the NFL. Really, they haven't lost a game with Brock Purdy as a starter. The only loss, as you know, is against Philly when he got injured. And they've been just so dominant at home with him. Like, I think 7 of 8 of their home starts with Purdy, they've won by 14 or more. And the only one that they didn't was against Dallas, but they still won by, I think, like 6 or 7. We only need them to win by 5 or more. I think you can't really go against this Niners team right now until they show, cracks in the armor, and they haven't done so yet. And I feel like the loss of Trayvon Diggs for the Cowboys will be felt more in this game. You didn't really feel it against the Patriots, but the Patriots really don't have much weapons on offense. Not even close.
You neutralized Mac Jones, you and
Yeah,
everybody else.
exactly. Now they face the most stacked offense in the NFL. I think they're gonna have issues, and San Fran is one of my top plays this week.
I love that. I've got a couple San Francisco props and actually a Dallas prop coming up later in this show. It's so funny. When we were talking about baseball, you took a bunch of dogs, and for some reason, I'm on the dogs this week. And this one's gross. Anytime you bet on the Jets and the Broncos, it's gross. You don't feel good about it. You put your bet in, and then you feel like you got to take a shower because you don't know how this one's going to turn out. But give me the Jets money line plus 105. Again, this is going to come back to haunt me, but I've seen a shift in Zach Wilson. And I knew when we saw Aaron Rodgers there and we heard that he had the conversation with the team and he was like, stop pointing fingers, meaning stop blaming Zach for this. And I just feel like they lacked their leader. And now that he's come back and he's talking about how he's still going to come back this season and he's there and he's got that mentorship and leadership role, Zach Wilson has kind of calmed down. I'm not saying he's going to be good. I'm just saying he is serviceable when he believes in himself. And that is all you have to be against this Broncos
Yeah.
defense that allowed Justin Fields to throw for 4 touchdowns in week 4. And Cole Kmet, who has been the most, a tight end that hasn't done anything all season, get 2 touchdowns for himself. Also, Hackett revenge game.
Oh, I forgot about that.
This offense is going to be dialed in to make Sean Payton look like an
Yeah, you're
you know what I
right.
mean? Like, and this defense, they all know that, Sean Payton talks so much crap. They're all going to want to get Hackett's back on this one. This defense is legit. I think that they can limit Russell Wilson. We have seen glimmers of Russ cooking a little bit, but I think that this offense can get going against how bad the secondary is for the Broncos. And I think that they can limit Russell enough that, give me the Jets money line plus 105.
I really like that point you made. Like usually like that revenge game stuff, I try to stay away. But this one's a good one because Sean Payton so unprofessionally, like publicly
Yes.
lashing on
Yes.
Hackett. Like this is one that I like. I totally forgot about that. Like that,
Well,
it
and
slipped my mind, but yeah.
oh, yeah. Well, and then again, Aaron Rodgers is back in the fold. And Aaron Rodgers took this personally. He said, "Get my coach's name out of your mouth." So he's hyping up the team, and they are all ready to shut down. At least
I'm
the
gonna
defense.
trail
But
this. I
yes,
like
yeah,
it. I like
yeah. All
it.
right, all
Plus,
right.
like they said how they're going to stop with the snap count on Brees Hall, who's clearly their most explosive
Yes,
back. That should help
yes,
out the offense as well.
yes.
Jets
And you know
money
what?
line. Let's go.
Let's go. And I liked how obviously, I thought Zach Wilson had a pretty good game of, the snapped fumble or the fumble or the snap that turned into a fumble, lost the game for them. But just to see the team rallying around him, and it was a moral victory that they did so well against the Chiefs. I think that there's something to build on here. I won't be surprised if this loses, but I still think the value is on the Jets for this one. Now
Yeah.
let's look at some totals. I'm going to start this one first, and it's going to go hand in hand with your last one. Give me the Niners team total over 24.5. It's at minus 105. Niners are 4-0 to the over on their team total through 4 weeks. They have scored at least 30 points in each of those games. This is by far the best defense that they have seen. But I'm not sure that Dallas is going to be able to force the turnovers on the 49ers that they have been able to do in order to be successful. Yes, they held the Niners to only 18, I believe, or 19 in the divisional round of last year, but the playoffs is totally different. That is more smash mouth football. The
Yeah.
49ers have weapons that Dallas has not seen. McCaffrey, you're not going to get an interception on a McCaffrey or a fumble on a McCaffrey, and they let Arizona run all over them.
Mhm.
I'm like you said, I'm not impressed by the fact that they were able to stop Mac Jones. Give me the Niners over the 24.5.
Yeah, I like that. And we've seen, speaking of that Arizona game, you had Marquise Brown and rookie Michael Wilson get loose downfield.
Yes.
I think Brandon Ayuk is going to have a big
Yes.
game. And
Love
like I
him.
said, that loss of Trayvon Diggs will be more felt in this matchup.
Love it. All right. What's a total you like?
So a total I like, I wrote this one up at the game day for Monday Night Football. It's over 44.5 points with the Packers and Raiders. For me, it's just because, Jordan Love now has Christian Watson and Aaron Jones back healthy. They're likely not to be on snap counts like they were on Thursday night against the Lions. Raiders defense is towards the bottom of the league in both against the pass and against the run. And I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo will be back for this game. I haven't fully seen the updated practice reports, but every time there's been a player out with a concussion, they usually just miss one game. And I think he'll be back. Like I said, I think the Raiders will be able to move the ball more. I make more explosive plays than with rookie Aiden O'Connell against the Chargers. This could be, a sneaky shootout. Give me the over in Raiders Packers.
I love that. And I do think that, the connection between Devontae Adams and Jimmy Garoppolo is growing. It's always going to be a little bit shaky at first. And we've seen, look, I love Jimmy Garoppolo. There's moments of greatness and there's moments of what are you doing? So hopefully they can limit a little bit of those. But I like that. All right, moving on to the next. You've got one more team total for us.
Oh
Or no,
yeah, so
actual
I
total.
Yeah, I took another total here. I'm going the under in the Panthers and Lions, under 45 points. Number one, Bryce Young's really struggling, and their receiving core, there's not really a lot of big play threats. I liked Terrace Marshall a little bit, but they're just not making big plays downfield. Adam
No.
Thielen's playing well, but it's like check down city on that offense.
Yep.
And the Lions, they like to run the ball, especially with the lead. They're 10-point favorites. So if they get out to a big lead, they're going to just be
Yeah.
chewing the clock with David
Yeah.
Montgomery. And their top wideout, Amon-Ra St. Brown, missed practice on Wednesday. He may be out. So if he's out,
Yeah.
you
What
just
is he
got
dealing with? Is it turf toe?
he
Something with his
was
toe, right?
he was originally, but now something else. I think
Mm.
it's abdomen, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
okay.
I'm not quite sure, but the fact we're gonna monitor his practice status. Even if he plays, I like the under, but if he doesn't, I like it a lot more. I know
Yeah,
they'll
no.
get Jamison Williams back. He's a downfield threat, but his first game back, watch Dan Campbell's gonna play him reduced snaps. Low scoring game here.
The Panthers just can't seem to get anything going
Yeah,
on
yeah,
offense. Bryce Young, bless his heart, is really, really,
yeah.
you know,
Going
when
through it.
he's going through it. He's going through it. He's the opposite of CJ Stroud, and that's going to get
Yeah,
to my next one. I'm taking another team total. Give me the Texans over the
love it.
20.5. And, fading defenses coming off the London game has been profitable. You got to think with the travel and the jet lag and everything. There was a stat that I saw last year on Action Network that said the 2021 post London team totals were 3-2 to the under. Opponent team totals are 4-1 to
Mm.
the over. And so you look at the Falcons coming back from London, jet lagged, tired, all of the things. And then you've got this Texans offense who is rocking and rolling under CJ Stroud and some of their rookies. They've scored at least 20 points in every game so far this year. So I'm going to fade the Falcons defense and give me the Texans team total over 20.5. It's at plus 105.
I like that. And plus, another thing leaning to your point is like Texans are struggling to run the ball. So they're really airing it out. And CJ Stroud's playing great. So whenever you're having a team leaning more towards a pass, it bodes well for your team total
Yeah.
because passing the ball obviously scores at a quicker pace than running the ball. So I like that. I love what I'm seeing from Stroud,
Oh,
Nico Collins, Tank Dell. They're sneaky, those Texans.
they are, and you know what? They're well coached. D'Amico Ryan's coming over
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Well coached. They did really well in the draft. And I will say those stats that I gave you were for 2021, but I did play this a few times last year about fading the defenses and the over on the team totals, and it did hit every time. I'll have an updated stat after this next group of London games. All right, let's get things propping now and talk about our favorite prop bets. You're taking an under on Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, I loved him coming into the year playing with Trevor Lawrence. And after week one, he just really hasn't done much.
Nope.
So I'm going under 4.5 receptions for Calvin Ridley. His last three games, he had 2 catches, 3 catches, and 2. Like the offense really isn't functioning that well. It's a lot of checkdowns to Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. I think they're going to have a tough time against the Bills, who are tied for
Yes.
third with the fewest receptions allowed to receivers. 4.5. I went with the catches over yards because Ridley's yards is 59.5 and he's
Mm,
targeted downfield.
yeah.
So if he's getting 5 or more catches, he's gonna fly over that.
Yeah.
I just feel like, he could have one of those games where it's like 3 catches for 60 yards. So I didn't want to do it that way. I'm going Calvin really under 4.5 just because of that Bills defense and what we've seen from him lately.
100%. I've got one that goes hand in hand with this. Give me Trevor Lawrence under 1.5 passing touchdowns. It's at minus 133 over at our friends from Caesars. I just haven't been impressed with him. Through 4 weeks, he only has 4 passing touchdowns. He only had a multiple touchdown scoring game, I believe, in week 1. I don't think he's going to bounce back and throw for 2 against the 49ers. Their O-line is questionable. They haven't had really great protection for Lawrence. And the Bills' pass rush is nasty. It is nasty. And to your point, too, they have the 4th ranked pass defense. They're giving up only 169.5 passing yards per game this season. So I like the under, like you said, on Ridley, and I like the under. I just don't see what the Jags are going to be able to put together against the Bills. I really don't offensively.
Yeah, and look to your point, the Bills just slowed down Miami. Or just
Yes.
like people were talking about them as one of the best offenses of all time. I think they're going
Yeah.
to slow the Jags down for sure. Love
Yeah.
that call.
and I'm not buying into the fact that they're still in London. It's just
Yeah.
it's not happening. All right, one more prop from you. You like David Montgomery.
Yeah, let's go David Montgomery over 69.5 rushing yards. Carolina is allowing 4.94 yards per carry, which I believe is the third highest in the league. We're seeing how Detroit loves to feed Monty, despite our, from fantasy football players pleading for him to use
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs more.
Ugh.
But he's feeding Monty, and we see it like 32 carries last game, 16 and 21. Now, the Lions are double-digit favorites, so they're likely to be playing with the lead. So they're going to be pounding Montgomery, chewing clock,
Yep.
more carries against a susceptible run defense. Not really that high of a bar, 69.5.
Yeah.
You could get that in the late third quarter with how much usage I think he'll have in this game. Give me Montgomery over 69.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, Montgomery has definitely been their true number one running back. Jahmyr Gibbs, I feel like, gets a little bit more play in the receiving game.
Yeah.
Except for I took him over his receptions, I think the other day, and it didn't end up hitting. I was like,
Yeah.
it's just hard to know how they're using Gibbs. And I understand that he's their rookie and they want to kind of ease him into it. They don't want to overdo it with him. Obviously, when Montgomery was out, then all of a sudden Jahmyr Gibbs went off for crazy yards. But it's been hard to handicap Jahmyr Gibbs because he's been doing well, but it's hard to know. Do I take him on his yards? Do I take him on his receiving yards? Do I take him on his receptions? He's been tough to handicap. Have you found that as well?
Yeah, for sure, because you sort of are hopeful that this is the week they'll use him a little bit more. They took him in the first round and then it doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
I think for Gibbs, you want to wait to games where you think the Lions are going to play from behind. Where
Mm.
we thought that at the Chiefs in Week 1, but they surprisingly didn't. But in a game like that where they have to be airing it out more and they'll put Gibbs on the field likely more often, is probably where you should target his props on the overs. But otherwise, yeah, let's stay clear of that one.
Okay. Well, Frank, you know me well enough to know that I like to give interception props for quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks that I don't particularly like too much. And that's going to be Dak Prescott. Give me over a half of an interception. So to get one pick, it's at minus 105. Line shop around for this one. It's not available everywhere, but in two playoff games versus the 49ers, is the last two times that these teams have played against each other. Dak has more interceptions than he has passing touchdowns. 3 interceptions to 2 touchdowns. Look, the 49ers got Stafford for 2 interceptions. They got Danny Dimes for 1 interception. They got Kenny Pickett for 2 interceptions. They didn't get Josh Dobbs, which I found actually, but Josh Dobbs has been balling. Like
Yeah,
give
what a
this guy
surprise.
his yeah. And that's the thing with the Cardinals. They're such a frisky team where I don't know how many wins they're going to get, but they're going to make it hard on people. And this Josh Dobbs kid is pretty good. But yeah, so look, they've got how many is that? 5 interceptions through 4 games so far. There's something about Dak Prescott in these games and the 49ers pass rush just gets at him and he gets spooked and he makes mistakes. So Dak Prescott is going to throw an interception, I believe. Minus 105.
I like it. And you got to think, they want to avenge that playoff loss. He might force in more throws into
Yes.
coverage under
Yes.
pressure. I like it a lot.
Yes, I love it. All right, time now for Mox Locks. Can be all of your plays, Frank. Can be just one play that you really believe in. Mine is going to be tailing one of yours, and it's the Niners -4. And y'all know if you listen to the show, I don't always back the 49ers. I have not taken them against the spread at all this season. I've just been hammering their team total. But dating back to last season, the 49ers have covered the spread in 9 consecutive games at Levi's Stadium. It is the longest current home cover streak in the NFL and the 49ers longest since 1960. The Dallas Cowboys are not going to be able to create the turnovers in order to win this game. The 49ers offense is just too good. The weapons are too good. So give me the Niners -4.
Love it, love it. And I'd put the Niners as well, but we're going to talk about another game too. Let's go back to the Bills. Like
Yeah.
we said, they're just rolling. And when they win by 10 or more usually. I don't have the stat in front of me, but I know like it's not like they don't play in a lot of close games when they win. They get it done. And the Jags are just not really firing right now on offense. I don't think they could keep up with Josh Allen, who's just totally balling. And we only need them to win, like I said, by 6 or more. Let's go
Yeah.
with the Bills as my
100.
top pick.
Hammer it down. I love that. Frank, thank you so much for joining us today. You can follow Frank on social at Ammirante, TFJ, and then also his articles on thegameday.com. But Frank, just talk to us about what you're doing, where people can find you.
Yeah, so we started a new show with another worker at the Game Day, Matt Williams. Follow him on social. He does great content. It's called Better Plays Ahead. We stream live every Thursday, so today at 3 p.m. Eastern, and we'll also be going on all social platforms talking about the Week 5 slate, our favorite bets, and be sure to check into that. If you like fantasy, I put my weekly rankings at the Game Day. Finished second this week for week 4. Pretty good in the contest they have at Fantasy Pro. So looking to keep rolling on that. Let's have a good week 5. Let's win our bets, and go Niners, go Commanders.
Go Commanders. I like y'all tonight as well. All right, this has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Don't forget to follow us on social at Moxie Bets. Good luck on your bets this weekend. We'll see you Monday.